Hey guys, it's been a long time. I've written a blog post about being behind on everything, like all the things I want to review and all of that, so I won't repeat it here. I'll just link that blog post in the description. But I'm going to try to make more videos, especially over New Year's, since I have a break from work and I'm not traveling for this particular break. But all of that being said, this is going to be a review of Season 2, Episode 18, Awake, Arise, or Be Forever Fallen of Shadowhunters, because I still haven't reviewed some of the episodes of Season 2, and we're about to get the end of Season 3 soon. So I'm gonna try and do that. And I do feel like even though it's been so long since this episode aired, this is a very important episode, a very big episode, so I want to talk about it, even though my reaction now that I've seen all of Season 3 isn't going to be quite the same as it would have been at the time. I'm still gonna do it. I'm also going to try not to talk too much about spoilers past this episode, but I am a little bit in one part, and I'll warn before I do that. I was so scared for Max going into this episode because obviously, and I'm going to spoil the books, which are very different from the show when I talk about this, but Max dies in the books, and so I was pretty, not 100% sure he was going to die. I figured there was a chance they wouldn't kill him off, but still I knew there was a very good chance he was going to die in this episode, so I was kind of relieved when he didn't die. For me, character deaths are something that I feel like is very easily overdone, and characters will get killed off for shock value or for drama and everything, especially in TV shows that go on for so long and they want something exciting to happen, and I really hate that. I really hate characters dying just to provide drama or to be shocking. I really only want a character to die if there's going to be a very good reason for it, and that's one of the reasons why I'm so against them having killed off Jocelyn, because even though they were talking about it being important to the plot, I don't think it actually is. Plot worked just fine in the books without Jocelyn dying, and I still fail to understand why there would be any point to killing her off in the TV show. Maybe I'll do an entire video about that at some point, even though I know I've talked about it in past reviews a little bit. But anyway, I was happy that Max didn't die because I really don't see Max's death, either in the books or in the show, as being crucial to the story. It's tragic and sad, but that doesn't mean it's crucial to the story, and in the way it happens in the books, it does reveal that Sebastian's evil and everything, but you get that just fine in the TV show without him actually dying in the end. So I was very happy that they didn't kill Max off. There's also quite a bit of Malik in this episode, and we all know how much I love Malik. I really appreciated the flashbacks and getting to see more of their relationship and more of the development. My favorite part of the flashbacks was definitely Alec seeing Magnus's eyes. I understand that they don't use Magnus's warlock mark as much in the books, I think because it's a special effect and so it adds to the cost, and especially now that it's cancelled because of the budget. Obviously, I'm not upset that they don't show Magnus's eyes that often, but it's also never really talked about or mentioned. If you haven't read the books, I don't even know how well you would understand that Magnus's warlock mark is his eyes, because they're kind of shown but never fully explained, and I don't know how much they've even talked about warlock marks on the show. The point is, I'm very glad we got to see Alec seeing Magnus's eyes, and again, I'm not completely sure if Alec knew at that point what Magnus's warlock mark was. I don't know if, at least in the universe of the show, not even in the universe of the books or whatever, if it's common knowledge that Magnus has cat eyes, or if it's a complete like secret kind of thing, because Magnus is a very secretive person, and or if like Magnus would or if Alec would have heard of it or anything, because I don't think we really know one way or the other if he really knew that Magnus had cat eyes before that moment. But regardless of whether he did or not, I really liked how that scene played out and everything, and it was really cute, and I really liked it. And even though I liked all of the flashbacks, I really liked that moment in particular. Although seeing Harry and Matt as Magnus and Alec in season 1 was kind of amusing to me and really weird, because it really makes you notice how they kind of changed their look between season 1 and 2. Like, it just makes it very obvious when you see them looking like their season 1 versions again, especially Alec with his like different hairstyle and everything. So that kind of made me laugh a little bit. We also meet Bat in this episode, which really surprised me because I was not expecting to see Bat for quite a while. I honestly don't know if the fact that Bat had been cast was announced before this episode aired, but I don't think it was, and if it was, I don't think I was aware of it, so I was very surprised. That being said, and this is where I'm going to very vaguely get into spoilers for the episodes that have aired since this one, I don't know that they're using Bat as well as they could, because when he appeared I was really excited, because obviously, again, spoilers for the books, Maya and Bat end up together in the books, which doesn't necessarily mean that's what they're going to do on the show, but the fact that they've bothered to bring Bat on the show kind of hints to me that they are intending for him and Maya to be together by the end, or at least they were. Now that the show is cancelled, they may not have enough time to develop that. I don't know, we don't know what happens in the second half of season 3. But I was excited because I wasn't expecting Maya and Bat to get together right away, because obviously we have all of the Maya and Simon stuff going on, but I was like, okay, well, we can see Bat and Maya's friendship develop, so then when they get together it will seem very well established, which in the books it's more sudden. I feel like in the books you kind of get told that they're close more than you actually see it, and I was excited how in the show their friendship could be developed and we'd actually like see it developing, and then the relationship wouldn't feel so out of left field. And I also kind of hoped that Bat and Simon would become friends, because I thought that would be really nice, but they're not really doing that. Like, Bat and Simon don't really interact, which I feel like is missing an opportunity. And we see Bat with Maya, but he hardly ever talks. Like, he hardly ever has lines. You just, like, Maya appears and Bat's like standing beside her, and every so often, not even that often, that we see him at all. So it's kind of like we're getting shown that Maya spends time with him, but we don't really see any of that time she spends with him. And I just wish that he had a more like integral role in what's going on, so that we could see their friendship actually developing. And I feel like a good way to do that would have been making Bat and Simon friends, so like he could be more involved in what's happening with Simon and Maya, not as a love triangle, because I think it's better, and like I would prefer if Maya and Simon's relationship plays out and then anything romantic between Maya and Bat happens after that. But like, I just feel like that would work better than just randomly having him standing by Maya at some points not saying anything. But that does all come later, and in this episode, the first time I watched it, I was just really excited that he was appearing so early, because I was excited to get to see more of him, but I feel like that's mostly been a disappointment. Speaking of Simon and Maya though, there was some great moments between them in this episode, I think. Loved getting to see Simon learn more about Maya's past, and generally just all around I think they've done a really good job exploring Maya's past, not just in this episode. So I really liked getting to see that. it kind of actually pains me because I do like Simon and Maya together more in the TV show than I did in the books. Because in the books I love both of them as characters, but I never felt very invested in their relationship. I think because it very much, like, Simon and Maya and Simon and Izzy happens very much at the same time in the books. It's not like a very typical love triangle, but they're happening at the same time, and Simon and Izzy overshadow Simon and Maya the entire time. So in the TV show, giving Simon and Maya more like prominence, you're getting more attached to them as a couple. So even though it's like, well, I've always shipped Simon and Izzy in the books, but I care so much more about Simon and Maya than I did before, and I care more about them than I ever did Simon and Clary. So it kind of pains me knowing that they are probably going to break them up so that they can follow the books. But also, who knows, especially with the cancellation. I have no idea at this point how they could get Simon and Izzy like together by the end of the show in like a realistic way. I feel like it's more likely that we're going to have hints that it's going there, which we've already gotten, but not like Simon and Izzy in like a relationship at the end. I do think it's plausible that Simon and Maya will break up for the end of season 3 though. Even without the cancellation, I feel like that's where we are going. But I have talked for long enough, probably too long. For episode 219, I am definitely going to write a blog post about the episode instead of making a video, but I will be back with more videos about Shadowhunters. I completely intend to make videos for the rest of the season 2 episodes. Those will be coming. For the rest of season 2 at least, they're going to be individual for each of the episodes. And then for season 3, I haven't quite decided if I'm just going to talk about the whole season at once, which would probably end up being way too long, or if I'm going to separate it by episode. But I'm probably going to separate it by episode because if this video has proved anything, I have way too much to say. So doing them all together would just be, if I did it by a video instead of blog post, it'd be like an hour long. So I will see you guys later. It will definitely not take as long as it did this last time. I promise. So, bye.